Call the meeting to order at 4:30 p.m. with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 on our agenda is roll call of the board. Mr. Sweet, would you be willing to start us off?
Sweet present.
Myers present.
Coin present.
Milky present.
Salad present.
Fig present.
Hey, what are you doing starting?
Late.
Kequan present.
You're late.
You're late.
I have to park in the nosebleed section.
Yeah, well, I was gonna comment on that, and, you know, member, yes, too, but,
We just finished roll call.
Okay. Do the pledge yet?
We did.
Yes, we did.
Okay, whatever. So approval of agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Got a motion by Fig, support by, is that Coin? Hearing no questions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And motion is approved. And how do the meeting minutes look from October 15th?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll support.
Got a motion by Bars, support by Zalud. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. And motion is approved. Item 6, public comment. Anybody? Be online?
Are we online?
Well, let's go on to item 7, reports, accounts payable.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'll start with the East DDA payables. We have a payment to Consumers Energy for the streetlights on Pickard, $783.37. And we have a payment to Green Scene Landscaping for $10,817. They did some landscaping around the overpass on Pickard, and they did a bunch of cleanup on Pickard. And then we have a payment to MMI for the maintenance around on Pickard around the park benches and the trash receptacles, $536 for October. A payment to Michigan Economic Developers Association. This is for half of the membership dues for the Economic Development Director and the Township Manager. That was $325. A payment to Pleasant Time Herb Farm. This is to water weed the flowers, some pruning of the trees, and general fall cleanup along Pickard. $8,428. We have a payment to Be Green Lawn Services for $3,492. This was a weed and feed on the grass and everything along the Pickard corridor for September through November. Then we have a payment to Gunner Lawn Care for mowing on Pickard, tree removal in September, $3,375. And a payment to Berens Hendricks Insurance for property and liability insurance. That was for $2,845.73. So we have total accounts payable $30,602.10 for the East DDA.
Move to pay the East DDA bills as presented.
Support.
Got a motion by Zalud, supported by Fig, to approve the East EDA payables. Hearing no more questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And the motion is approved.
Okay, moving on to the West DDA payables, we have a payment for $100 to Consumers Energy. This is for a new streetlight hookup at Lincoln and Broomfield, on the corner of Lincoln and Broomfield. And a payment to Michigan Economic Developers Association. This is for the annual membership due, half of the annual membership dues for the Economic Development Director and Township Manager, $325. So we have a total accounts payable amount this month of $425 for the West DDA.
Sherry, this is a question about the street light. Are those the same street lights that are being charged over on the East DDA's ret check?
The Consumers Energy that bills that you're paying for Pickard, along Pickard, are for the electric to the streetlights. This $100 amount that the West DDA paying is related to hooking up a new street light.
Okay,
Correct, Rodney?
so that's a one-time cost, it's not gonna be a monthly bill?
No, this is the cost to install, to add a streetlight at the intersection. We had a similar payment a few months ago for another new streetlight at South Lincoln and Independence Drive. So there, in both cases, there will be an electric bill for those that we'll be paying once the lights are in. But this is simply for the installation.
Okay.
And it's the total cost to have the street light installed there.
Okay, but then there'll still be a monthly fee that'll have to
Right,
cover that street light.
exactly, yep.
Want to go on the same bill as all the other one?
It will be, but it will be broken out in
To the
in your
west.
statement.
I see.
Do we have an ETA on that?
I'd love to say we do. The Mystic requests all went out for the one on Independence Drive. But on the other one, I don't have a final on either of them at this
The
point.
Independence Drive one's installed
Is it?
and working.
And working. So my understanding is, as soon as I can get to it, I think it's a fairly simple install, and they have all the equipment, so I would not be surprised if it's pretty quick.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I would make a motion that we accept the payments for the West DDA register as presented.
Support.
Got a motion by Fig, supported by Coin, to approve the West DDA payables. Hearing no more questions, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And the motion is approved.
Okay, moving on to the financials for the East DDA. We're getting toward the end of the fiscal year, which is December 31st. Things are looking really good in your financial statements. Your revenues for the East DDA are really close to 100% of budget. And then if you look at your expenditures totals, those are at about 21% of budget. And then moving on to the balance sheet, for the East DDA, you have about 2.5 million in assets, and your fund balance is really close to 2.5 million. Are there any questions on the East DDA financials? Okay, if not, moving on to the West DDA financials. Again, things are looking really good. In the revenue area, you're at about 100% of budget. And then in the expenditure area, your total expenditures are at about 56% of budget. And on your balance sheet, you have about 1.6 million in assets and fund balance. Are there any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hearing no questions on the financial reports, we'll let the record show they were presented and filed. Going on to item 7C, page 11, you have your board member expiration matrix for your information and review. And going on to item 8, new business. Looks like we have a couple requests for board action. Take it from there, Rodney.
Thank you. So you should, for the first item, which is a request to approve a proposal from Graber and Associates to do design work and also bidding and construction administrative assistance for the reinstallation of the underground irrigation along Route 20 in the road construction area. You have our report dated November 13th. Just give some background on the request. Mr. Graber is here with us today, and I'm sure he'll have a few thoughts as well. This, as you know, is a result of your request a couple of months ago from asking Mr. Graber to put this proposal together. We did have a request for qualifications process for a consultant to help us out to look at this project and consider best options. Mr. Graber was selected for that, and so although we didn't have a full bidding process for this proposal, there at least was a selection process for the contractor to look at doing this work. We noted just in the report, in our report, page 14 of your packet, kind of a justification statement there for looking at this. This is a big project, and we've had a lot of conversation about it. So we just noted some of the potential reasons to pursue this work. There is a significant benefit to the landscaping out there, and certainly be able to make the most efficient use of our resources. It would be helpful to have the underground irrigation installed. You saw in our bills today, we had a very large bill from Pleasant Time Herb Farm. Much of that bill was for watering because they keep those flowers alive. And of course, you know, over the last couple of months, it has been remarkably dry here. And so they were watering very often to keep plants healthy through into the fall. Whereas if we have the underground irrigation, that can all be set and automated. So with that in mind, we have no objection to moving forward with this proposal. If you're comfortable with it, we're certainly comfortable with Mr. Graber and his firm. I think he's done good work for us already. We've seen that, and we, of course, when we were evaluating his firm initially, we saw some examples of work he's done around the state. So we're very comfortable with moving ahead with this if you are comfortable with the proposals he presented. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions as we go along. But I just suggest maybe turning time over to Mr. Graber, if that's okay.
Sure.
Hello again.
Hello again.
Good to see you.
I had one question.
Sure.
Under the construction administration services, so equipment cut sheet review, so that's submittals and things you'll approve.
Right.
What about answer RFIs? Any questions too?
Yeah, that'll also be in there. Yeah, I can add that if you wish. But yeah, that's pretty typical that if
Pretty common
changes are
stuff,
made-
yep.
Yeah.
The other one I think is pretty common is pay app certification.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you're gonna do?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll
because that
do
really
that.
helps us out.
Yep, that'll help you out, because, yeah, because then the contractor can submit, I can approve, based on what they're saying they have done,
Yep.
based on what I'm seeing. And as I had noted here, I got up to six site observation visits, as well as putting together the as-built, so at the times that I'll be out here looking at the progress of their construction, I'll also be doing the measurements and taking the notes that I'll put together in the as-built that I'll be doing for you folks at the end. So it won't just be coming out, looking around, and getting back in my car. It'll be quite a bit on my end that I'll be doing at the same time. So the question with the pay app, at that point, I can say, yes, I was there on this day, we had 50% done, we're billing for 50%, go with it. So, yeah.
Do you have an engineer's estimate of how much the project would cost?
I do not. I can put that together, but I haven't even, looked at it hard enough. Some of the things that are kind of up in the air is the water sources themselves are still there. I don't know if they were damaged. I don't know if the backflow preventers are in, good working order. That is one of the things that I'm going to call out at the initiation of the project, have the contractor go out there, run a flow test, test everything, let's see what we have. That's kind of in flux there, because sometimes that stuff can be a little more expensive, from what it looks like, because you often have to get plumbers involved if there is some work that needs to be done. But anyway, that being said, once I get into this, I can put together more of an estimate for you folks. But yeah.
We had talked about the light pole hanging baskets and
Yes.
the planting areas around the bench.
Right.
I thought in our, at least my memory is this, and maybe wrong, we had identified at least one, if not more, bench locations where we thought that might be prohibitive to do cost-wise. Is that?
I think what we were doing is we were talking about the hanging baskets already had irrigation going
Right.
up to them, so that'll be replaced. It was the seated area where we had the urns, and the question was, are we going to put fixed irrigation in those urns, or are we going to provide a way to connect a hose so that they can be hand watered? So at this point, I was going to be providing that. If you wanted an alternate to maybe do fixed irrigation into there, that could be provided also. And we could do that and then get the bids in and see what happens. But that's what we had talked about.
Okay, I was just trying to reconcile that with what's written here, and that makes
What we
sense
wanted to
now,
do is
so.
not have somebody
Right.
have to go out there with a watering truck and a wand.
Right.
It'd be better if they could snap in something, hose water, pull it out, close it, go on to the next.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh.
I think having an alternate for the fixed irrigation would be a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I think too. At least then you can weigh options,
Yeah.
and if you've got
Right,
questions.
Right,
Yeah.
one versus the other.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on timetable? I know that has a lot to do with both everybody involved,
Right.
but since it is still 2024 and the season of 25 will be pretty likely to complete the project, but when you start looking at timetables, plants might need water, like we were just talking about, Rodney mentioned,
Exactly.
water truck having to go out a lot this fall, and you know, if you're gonna do something like this, we don't have 6, maybe 8 months that we use water anyway,
Right.
and so basically if you fumble the next season of watering, you're pawning it down to the next
Yeah,
year.
it's going to the next year.
So
I get,
anyway, I was just thinking maybe what would be our responsibilities to look at to kind of try and figure out how we can get towards an earlier start than,
Yeah.
have the project so that as soon as thaw's there, we're maybe starting to flow water soon after.
right. I guess my thinking was March 1st being the date to get this out, hit the streets for bids. It gives about 30 days. Contractors are usually hungry at that time because things are starting to come up. You can get your pricing, and then by April 1st,
Would February 1st be
Take
too
a
early to
look.
start looking at that?
February 1st, no, it wouldn't. If you would like to go halfway, that would work. The only problem with February So a lot of the contractors on vacation all of January, some of them part of February. And so getting it in their hands, then
Except
they.
for the hungry ones.
Yeah, then they say, well, you know, I can't get this, I'm still doing snow removal, I can't really look at it to get a bid. That's why I kind of look at like March 1st as being a good time. Usually, then they're thinking about, oh, how am I gonna pay now that I don't have snow removal, I gotta get some stuff going. And then, as far as plant material, usually that stuff isn't going in until May at the earliest. So at that point, we can start to strategize, okay, we're gonna have this so much irrigation done by this day, and maybe start moving from the water sources out. So, okay, we're gonna have these baskets and planters online with flowers in May, we'll have irrigation in them by June. Now we move up a couple of blocks. These will be July, these will be August, and then the system is full out. So next year's probably honestly gonna be a mix. You're gonna have a mix of some hand watering, some online, and as the system progresses with completion, you'll be dropping off the hand watering at that time. But I think it's gonna be kind of a mix for next year.
All right, well, maybe in that vein, we could look at, because our meetings are monthly,
Right,
you know, I hear you saying that maybe January would be real early to start thinking about doing that kind of a meeting for approval.
mhm,
But, or getting bids out and having them responded. But February, you know,
Yeah.
we're in mid-February, and it's just a shorter month anyway,
mhm,
would kind of be in that slot. Maybe we could look at that as just a general time frame, so that we can have, like you said,
Yeah.
contractors looking at it, and then additionally, people that would be saying, are we gonna be first on your job order, or your
Right.
list, or are we gonna be second? You know, where are we? And when you're ready to go, we're ready to go.
exactly, okay. Well, let's plan for that then, mid-February. If we can do that, that'd be good.
What would make sense to me is just so we have it in time for our March meeting. And
Okay.
it's not out of the question, I don't think the board would, if we have to have a special meeting, you know, to do that. But I think the latter part of March, you know, we meet on the third Tuesday. So if that works in the schedule, I think that,
Yeah,
you know, but if things don't fall there, if we have to have a special meeting to approve, you know, to discuss a contract, but I think it's gonna be something there'll be a healthy discussion about, so it probably wouldn't hurt to have a little bit of heads up on,
okay.
rather than just showing up at the board meeting and, oh, here's our bids, we open the bids.
Yeah, right.
Did I hear you say that in March is when a lot of these guys are starting to look at because they're ending their winter? So maybe if we were to think ready to go in March for bids
Yeah.
out,
That's what I would think.
and then we're having our meeting in February, which is pre-March. It's right on the doorstep of organizing that and folding them out. I don't know, it just seems like,
No, yeah.
here we are,
Mhm.
November already, and we started talking about this before the excavation was being done on Pickard. That's why a lot of the tubing was put in, because we looked at that and said, look at tubing. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
how are they gonna install it under those driveways? They're gonna tear up all the, no, let's put in tubing.
Yeah.
So, you know, we kinda looked forward on some of these ideas, so that is something you don't have to hopefully deal with. Just finding them is probably gonna be hard enough.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
hopefully, once it gets going, there's maybe they drew them in there, I doubt it, but you never know, you can
I
hope.
hope so. I'll use the
You can hope.
construction drawings, and
You
that's
can
all
hope,
we
but
can
you
go
know,
by.
once it
Yeah.
starts, sometimes hey, there it is, it's online, so.
Right,
Anyway, I'm just thinking that, you know, those kind of things are gonna be, important if we wanna get, cause right now, we just paid $3,500 for weed and feed, and how dry was it in this fall here? Some of that grass probably was stressing out without having water. I don't know how much it's gonna hurt it, but eventually you gotta get something going, so I'm just thinking, let's get it started when we need it, and the sooner we get it in there. Even if we go as quickly as possible, I think we're probably gonna be lucky to get it in and using it by summer when it's needed.
mhm.
That's just my forward look on it, because that's a big job to put a lot of
It
it.
is.
It's a lot of digging, a lot of finding.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I like the proposal. I think it's a good-looking program, and I hope that we can support you on what you need, and we can find a way to have us move to the next step with your group.
Okay,
Thanks.
great, thank you.
I have a question for the board and for Mr. Graber. I mean, typically what I see we should do is like maybe the third Tuesday in February at our regular meeting, maybe have an 80 or 90% drawing plan set up, review. Because then we probably want to pin down the alternates that we want to do. You might be able to have a probable cost estimate to give us some advice on where to take it. And possibly even at that time, if everything's looking good, we could approve the plan set and release for bids and possibly have it the third Tuesday in March. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes, I strongly concur, because we've discussed this in the previous discussions for the I think we were provided hopefully a very conservative estimate, but it was a very large number, I think $400,000, so I'm not sure.
450.
Yeah, a lot of money. So I think we need to, in the process, we need to allow the board some time to have a pretty thorough discussion.
Sure.
Do we really, we can do a lot of, one side would say we can do a lot of hand watering for $450,000. And plus, Sherry's gonna get us 5% interest on that, why it's sitting in the bank, so that can pay, so there will be a
Oh, yeah.
discussion. This isn't
Absolutely.
necessarily a slam dunk.
Right.
I think we'll probably do it, in my personal opinion, but we need to make sure as we lay out the process for approval, and that's what Tom's saying, and that would be an excellent idea, is do it at the 85–90%. We don't have to share, it's a public meeting, so maybe we do, but engineers' estimates are kind of, there's double-edged swords sometimes, but at least we'll have a better idea. We'll know what we're bidding,
Okay.
and you can give us an idea of, okay, here's where the range, and understand that engineers' estimates are what they are.
Right.
And so, but at least that will allow us to have a discussion that, yeah, we feel comfortable moving forward, go get some bids.
Yeah, I think once he gets to put some meat on the bones, design, he's gonna have a heck of a lot more
Oh,
info
yeah,
for us.
absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And by then we'll know,
Yeah.
we buying a Volkswagen, or we buying a Cadillac, we
Yeah.
buying automation, or we buying,
Bingo.
manual. It's like, there's a lot of, that we can make the budget what we want it to be.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So, just gotta get him going.
Probably the only other comment that I would have on the process is, I have bid some jobs where I'm handed a contract and, oh, by the way, you have to go get your MDOT permit.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder if there's gonna have to be lane
So,
closures and.
and understand some, especially there's directional drilling, or some of them, they require the contractor to take out that permit.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're gonna have to post a bond or whatever, so just as you're going through that, have them on board so that it's a formality for the contractor, whoever they are, to go to MDOT, yep, here's, sign the permit and we're on, rather than, oh, we gotta start at that process.
Right.
So just
Yeah.
from experience, include that in the process as you're going through there.
All permitting.
The TSC will be the big one, but if you talk to them, they're good guys, to work with, as long as you show the effort to work with them. So I think they know the project's coming. I don't think they're gonna stand in the way, but I do understand, like I say, depending on how different professional entities approaches to obtaining those permits, some just, that's contractor's job.
Right.
And that will undoubtedly result in a delay that we really don't need in the first part of March, so. But I totally concur with Tom's. I think that's a great way to go.
I had a question for Director Nanny. So, one of the requirements that we have as a township is providing the as-built for the road reconstruction. Are you comfortable with that?
I believe, didn't we?
Yeah, you had no as-bills, but you have the construction drawings that were used.
Right.
And you're gonna provide those with me and
Okay,
And that's what we're gonna be using as the backgrounds for the drawings.
okay, because it said as-built, but then,
Yeah, there aren't any as-built,
Okay.
unfortunately, so we'll have to just go with the construction drawings.
okay.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposal from Graber and Associates LLC, Jeff Graber, in the amount of $17,500 for irrigation system design, bid assistance, and construction administration services for reinstallation of the East Pickard Road M20 corridor underground irrigation from west of the US 127 interchange to near Packard Street, and to authorize Township Manager Mark Stuhldreher to sign a service agreement for this project.
Support.
Got a motion by Fig, support by Zalid for the action requested.
It is
Any more questions?
a question or a statement, I guess. I'll probably reluctantly vote yes for this. I think it's a great presentation. I think you're very well versed in your trade. I still have the same issues. This is half of an irrigation system. We're putting it back into the right-of-way that we know we do not have control over, and potentially spending a lot of money. So, and we still have the potential to spend the same amount or more money when they redo from 127 east to Somerton, where we have the second half of the irrigation system. So we're not just talking 450 or, and my yes vote will be more to see exactly how much this will cost, because we don't know.
Oh,
right?
Right.
Absolutely.
But those are my, does it look nice? It sure does. It does. And I'm not going to argue that point, but I just think doing something the same way by putting an underground irrigation system in a right-of-way that we have no control over, and then we were told very clearly that it doesn't matter how much money we spent or did or whatever, that and we've got to do it again most likely with the reconstruction from 127 east to Somerton. So that was all.
Any more comments? Hearing no more question or comments, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And the motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving on to item 8B, request for board action.
Thank you. This item's our annual authorization for the Festival of Banners. Those banners, you may have noticed, just came down in 20. You have in your packet our report dated November the 5th, just summarizing the project every year that we work on. And just note that our costs are the same as they have been. You have a copy of the proposal from Kim Biggert at the Outreach of Michigan in there detailing that. So this would be a full set of banners going up along the M20. Total of 78 banners that they would be working on. We help them out every year, giving them time in Jameson Hall to do the decorating for this. But we had a very successful year this year with the banners. It's certainly nice work that was put together for those. And so recommending this to you for your approval for another year to work with Outreach on this project.
I move to approve the East DDA District's participation in the 2025 Outreach of Mid-Michigan Festival Banners event via the purchase and creation of 78 banners for installation and display along East Pickard Road at a cost of $4,500.
Support.
Got a motion by Sweet, support by Coyne. This is already in the budget, right?
It is.
Any more questions or comments?
Great program.
Yeah. Pretty.
Hearing no more comments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And the motion is approved. We're going on to item 9, pending business. What do we got there, Rodney?
None at this time.
Nothing? Item 10, director comments.
I know the banners have come down off of M20 tonight. The holiday lights will go up. So tomorrow morning, when they come out, and hopefully, if all goes well tonight, as they put those in overnight, hopefully we'll enjoy the holiday decorations tomorrow. So that's the only item I have for today.
I have one quick question for you. The Bradley sidewalks that we were working on, I think the last update was we were waiting on getting some easements. Has any movement happened on that?
No movement there, no, unfortunately.
Okay.
Actually, I'm glad you asked about that. I did have one other item, and I didn't write it down. The Bud Street sidewalk, a sidewalk project where we have right-of-way. The engineers verified, did all the survey work to verify we had plenty of right-of-way there. Got hung up because the road commission didn't agree with us that we had right-of-way. So that project has not gotten started. We are still working on trying to help the road commission understand that there really is right-of-way there. This all comes down to surveys of these properties from a million years ago. The original surveys for this land, it happens that Bud Street was a dividing point. The land to the west was surveyed from the west. The land to the east of Bud Street was surveyed from the east. And there was an error. There is a gap. And that gap is really just inside of Bud Street. It's part of that right-of-way. But each side surveyed its own 66-foot wide right-of-way, one from the east, one from the west. And so the actual right-of-way is wide, 70 or 80 feet wide. It varies. It actually narrows down as you go north. But it's basically two different surveys, and there's a gap there. What the road commission has done is taken the left-hand side and said we have a 66-foot wide survey or right-of-way from heading east from the left-hand side of the road. That's their right-of-way they claim that goes up. What we've said is there's both sides. You have to look at both sides. And in fact, if you only take the west side, part of Bud Street is not in their right-of-way. A significant part of it is it makes that curve to go up by the park. There's a large chunk that is not in their right-of-way. So we're continuing to have those conversations and working on trying to create confidence. Right now I have engineers putting together a certified survey, laying all this detail out, putting it all in there, and we may even have to get our township attorney involved to confirm this before we can help the road commission and our contractor have confidence to move ahead. So that's where that one is. I was amazed to have right-of-way trouble where we had plenty of right-of-way, but we did. So we did continue to work on them. I certainly hope that the Bradley Street project can happen in the spring, but to this point we have not had movement on that yet.
Yeah, I was just curious. So I did notice the flags out at Bud Street at the beginning of the month. I don't know how long they'd been there, but
Unfortunately, they've been there a little while now. But yeah, as soon as we actually have, we did get a permit from the road commission where because the section of the sidewalk that goes in front of the house that's on the north end there, where we're going around some willow trees and going out closer to the road there. In that space there, we actually enter the road commission's version of the right of way, and after some effort, we did get a permit from them for that work. But essentially, the contractor said, until we have this worked out, we're not going to put the sidewalk in areas that the road commission doesn't think is part of the right of way. So more to come on that one.
Just have a statement, not for Rodney or just in general, but in light of the struggles of the county, and I think it would kind of fall on us, but I would look to the leadership of the township and the board of the trustees of the township it's going to be very, very difficult to attract business to a community that is underserved by police protection. Union Township is one of the higher populated townships in the, well, it is the highest populated township in the county. I'm sure we have a lot of the 911 calls in the county. But hopefully the township is already thinking about it. I don't know if what we can do as an EDA board, maybe something similar to the fire protection agreement with the city, but I really think it's something that needs to be talked about, and if the EDA board can take, if we can spend $400,000 on an irrigation system, I think we could come up with a way to protect our businesses that we're capturing their tax dollars. It's a travesty of what's going on. Probably no fault of anyone in particular, but it is what it is. And so hopefully the township as a whole, from the manager and Rodney and the board, will have some forethought and have some discussions of what we can do to protect our businesses and our citizens for the health and well-being, because it's not a good thing to rely on the state police. They're going to be stretched thin, and we want to be a vibrant community. We want to be a growing community, and one way to not have that happen is to have people not feel safe and protected, and especially their businesses protected. So that's my statement.
I think it's a good thought. Just, I thought the same thing, and went to the taxpayers, didn't work out. Well, obvious different reasons, but it's like, how do you step up? Every township in the county has to step up, and then Union Township, of course, for our population. I think that's something I think should be a discussion at the board.
I grew up in a very sparsely populated township in southeast Michigan, and we had our own police force, and we did not. It did not stretch the township. Both my parents were township clerks for 30 years, and we were able to do it. And I think the township, and this goes back years and years and years and years and years. This isn't just the current. But they've gotten away with being a big person without kind of doing some of the big boy things. And one of those things would be either a law enforcement agency, or partnering with the county, or partnering with the city and start to foot the bill, because we do have an inordinate amount of the 911 calls for the county. So
My only comment is I heard on the news a couple sorts that there's no sheriff in town, and I would like to give that new manager an opportunity to take a look at the finances and see, kind of make some sound, and I fully expect him to have a different perspective, and hopefully he'll provide some wise counsel to the board to make some pertinent decisions. At 17 years on a school board, I remember back in the days prior to Beausoleil, when school districts could run their own bond issues to raise money. One of the tactics, and it was a shameful one, is athletics always was the first thing to get cut. And as being treasurer for most of those 17 years, I can tell you that the subsidy we give athletics at Shepherd was like less than 0.5% of the budget. So in no way.
Not much you can whack on.
And I had a hard time not going back to that same thing when the proposal, we're going to cut all the deputies if you don't cough up some tax money.
And unfortunately, they've all found other jobs. I mean, it's a
Oh yeah,
it's start from scratch already.
The horse has left the barn.
But like I say, I was very pleased to see Brian get that job, and having worked with him in the past, he's very common sense, got a good fiscal head on his shoulders, and I'm praying that the prayers are with him that he provides some fiscal sanity there that maybe hasn't been there for a while.
That's a good point.
it's ultimately the board's decision and what they've made, but I agree with the table that it's certainly a discussion for the township that if powers that be can't provide for our citizens, we certainly have the financial ability to do that. And the only caveat to once you start paying for something, you're gonna be expected to pay for it forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
But that doesn't diminish the need that's there, that, you know, if there's a vacuum there and we have the opportunity, you know, at this board, but certainly at the Board of Trustees to do that, it's certainly worth a good conversation.
Well, Union Township has stepped up in many ways to help provide for their residents.
Yep.
In many ways. People can count them. I don't want to go through that litany, but there's many. You can count the big ones when you start looking at the water tower behind us and the water plant that you get on the exit coming in off of North Mission. You get on, you see the water plant. Those are big ones. So, you know, the township has stepped up in many ways. Just tonight, $4,500 into the banner fund. There's other things, the car, the courtesy car, the things that the township has to list are pretty long. And they're not failing in a lot of ways, but there is different eras that happen, change in how structure works. But we can also point to another way that we do public service, safety protection, and I think that the firefighters that serve for the Union Township District are really focused on not only the safety of the residents for that perspective, but you know, they have eyes out there, they're watching the community for other problems that might exist. But we do a lot to keep the fire department healthy. A truck that is, you know, covered with Union Township logo is, you know, a big part of the fire department's equipment. So we've got a lot of things, and I think that when you look at Union Township, there's a lot of safety issues in communities that are smaller than ours even. I looked at Clare, and they've got a lot of, and I don't disagree, we shouldn't have protection service for the community, but I think we can also say that Union Township has done a lot of things for the residents, and it should be looked upon as a good community member to help provide things that citizens do need.
So this, obviously, this is not an agenda item tonight. It's not, maybe it's a discussion elsewhere, as you said.
No, I just wanted to bring it up.
No.
Well, I'll just add, this has been on my radar for some time now. But I'll encourage the board to watch this portion of this meeting,
To watch one now.
to watch this discussion. Even if they don't watch the rest of the meeting, go and see this part.
No, all good comments.
Yes, appreciated. And I'm sure you're not alone, the voices that are here.
Yep. No.
Any more comments for the good of the order? Hearing none, we can call the meeting adjourned, 5:19, and we'll see everybody Tuesday, December 17th. Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, the county.